Hello and good evening to all of you. Am I audible? So, is the screen clearly visible to all of you? Okay, so what is the objective today? The objective today is that we'll see some potential questions with respect to science and technology that could come in your mains, or we'll practice some of the questions of science and technology. So today we'll focus on space science and technology, and we'll try to see what are the different types of questions that can be formed based on some of the static things in your space science and technology. See, first of all, let us just try to understand that science and technology, what is the weightage of science and technology in mains? What is the weightage of science and technology in mains? So it is in your GS paper 3, and you would have seen that in paper 3, in GS paper 3, people are scoring very well in GS paper 1, people are scoring very well in GS paper 2, people are scoring well in GS paper 4, but you will still see that the marks in GS 3, if you see anybody scoring more than 100, it is a good marks this year and even last year. So in GS paper 3, this is a particular situation that scoring in GS paper 3 is a little difficult in the sense that it has a lot many sub themes or subtopics. So you have economy, you have science and technology, you have environment, you have internal security, you have disaster management, and GS paper 3 people think that it is only economics. So economics, yes, it has a lot of weightage. So out of 250, let us say 150 would be just your economy, 120 to 150 marks will be of economy, but there are other portions which have gained importance in your GS paper 3. So science and technology, from past 2 3 years, or in fact from many years, the weightage of this in GS paper 3 in mains would be around, yes, would anybody like to take a guess that how many questions or how much marks? So if GS 3 is of 250 marks, what is the weightage? So are you all, you must be into answer writing by now. What is the weightage of science and technology? And to score well in your GS paper 3, you have to be good at this small sections or small units of your GS paper 3. So in GS paper 3, science and technology, it is an important part. So around 50 to 60 marks, you can see that it is coming from science and technology. So it has a good weightage in your GS paper 3. So its weightage is obviously more in your prelims. In prelims, you will see that out of 100 questions, there are around 14 to 15 questions. So the percentage there is very high. Yes, the percentage in mains of science and technology is less, but to score overall well in GS paper 3, you need to have grip over science and technology. And what are the keywords that are given for science and technology in your GS paper 3? What are the keywords given for science and technology in paper 3? Yes, what are the keywords that are given in your syllabus? So see, the keywords in the syllabus, they give an insight into what are the potential areas in which questions can come. So the keywords that are given in your science and technology in your GS paper 3 is, first of all, biotechnology. So we'll see some questions that have been previously asked, so that we'll try to understand that what are the potential areas and what type of questions they are asking, and then we'll try to solve some of the questions also. Biotechnology, yes, anything else? So it has mentioned space technology. It has mentioned nanotechnology. It has mentioned nuclear technology. So in your GS paper 3, nuclear technology, and you have IT and computers. IT and computers also. You have one important topic. For many years they have not asked questions on this topic, that is IPR. And then you also have this in IT and computers. An extension of IT and computers that you can see is this term, robotics. And one more, that is defense technology, defense tech. So these are the broad keywords that are given in your syllabus. Now last year, if you see, we are just trying to gauge the importance of the various keywords that are given in your syllabus, and then we'll see some questions also from space technology. Last year there was a question on a question on vaccines. That what do you understand by vaccine? What is the principle of vaccine? What are different types of vaccines? So there was a question on vaccines. So vaccines will fall under your biotechnology. Last year there was also this question from space technology. So the question was what? James Webb Telescope. Do you remember the questions? James Webb Telescope, and it had asked in a comparative format that how James Webb Telescope is better than its predecessors. So you have to compare James Webb Telescope, let us say, with other telescopes, and the previous most famous telescope was your Hubble telescope. So they have asked questions on this, and what previous to that they had asked questions like what is S-400, why S-400 is considered to be the best missile defense system in the world. So this was the question asked. So they have asked questions on these topics. In nuclear technology, for many years they haven't asked questions. In IPR also they haven't asked the questions. So these are the important areas where you can expect questions from. Your questions from nuclear tech, IPR, more questions on IT and computers. See, these topics are in news, so that is why they become very, very important. So we'll see these topics also, but we'll try to cover other topics also. So what we'll do, let us do some questions from space science and technology. So in space science and technology, what you are seeing, so in space science and technology, why space science and technology is in news? Why space science and technology is in news? Any news item that you are seeing with respect to space science and technology? See, nowadays you would be hearing about, let us say, Gaganyaan mission. You are hearing about Gaganyaan mission. You are hearing about Artemis mission. Artemis mission. So what is the common theme in these two? So a question can be made in this format, that what do you understand by manned mission? A question could be formed in this manner: what do you understand by manned mission? What are benefits of manned mission? What are benefits of manned mission? Analyze. Okay, so how can we attempt this question? Yes. So let us begin with the structure part first. That what can you write in your intro, and then what you have to write next. Yes, would anybody like to try that? What you can be writing in introduction of this question? Previously, they have asked questions based on manned missions. Also, they have asked a question in this line that I- India has been successful in unmanned missions, but India has not ventured into manned missions. What are the technical and logistical obstacles for manned mission? But they haven't asked question on the benefits part. But now, because of this context of Gaganyaan mission, so you are seeing Gaganyaan mission in news. Okay, so you are seeing Gaganyaan mission, you are seeing Artemis mission. Both of these missions are what? Both of these missions are manned type of mission. Manned type of mission. So if they are manned type of mission, so there could be a question on what could be the possible benefits of these manned type of mission. So you can expect a question on this line. So what do you understand by manned mission? What are the benefits of manned mission? Analyze. Yes, what can you write in this? Yes, let us begin with an intro. What can you write in intro? What can we write as an intro here? Okay, what are the different ways by which you can start an answer? Any answer. So one of the best ways to start your answer is the definitional one. So in science and technology, you can use the definitional type of intros. So you can use the definitional type of intro, or you can use some context or some news based introductions. Okay, so you can use a definitional type, or you can use some context or news based type of introduction. We'll see the introduction part a little later. Let us just try to develop the overall structure of this answer. Now, what will you write next? What will you write next? What do you understand by manned mission? So it is asking for what? More elaboration from you. It is not simply asking you the definition of a manned mission, but it is asking that what do you understand by manned mission. So you have to elaborate more about manned mission, some historical background, or your deeper understanding of manned mission is required here. So in the next part after your introduction, you have to write something in more detail about your understanding of manned mission. Let us say, when was the first manned mission planned, or who was the first person who was sent to space, and then you have to chalk out the historical evolution also of the manned mission, when it started, who started, after that what happened, what is happening now with respect to manned mission, how is it different from, let us say, other type of missions. So you would have heard about flyby mission, orbiter type of mission, lander type of mission. So how is it different from them? Or you can also mention some of the critical challenges associated with manned mission. And you can also mention that if India has been doing anything about it, you can use that knowledge also. But here you have to give more elaboration with respect to what do you understand by manned mission. What should come next? What should come next? So next you have to mention the benefits of manned mission. The benefits of the manned mission. So in the benefits here, what we need to do This is the main part of the question, this is the core of the question. So what we will be doing, we will be breaking down the benefits into different sectors, or you can say that what could be the scientific benefit of sending a manned mission, what could be the scientific benefit, or then you could be mentioning what could be the, let us say, social benefit of sending manned mission, what could be political benefit of manned mission, what could be economic benefit of manned mission. So we could be mentioning about the different types of benefits of the manned mission. We are first working on the structure, how you should be structuring your answer in science and technology, and then we'll specifically look at what we can write in this. Okay, so first we'll write an intro, then a what do you understand by manned mission, so a further elaboration of the manned mission. And because they have asked explicitly benefits of the manned mission, so you have to mention in a multi-dimensional perspective the different benefits. Then what you have to write, then possibly you can go for a conclusion, but you can also mention in very brief some of the challenges to manned mission, or why India has not been able to send a manned mission. So India has been able to send, let us say, Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. India is planning for Chandrayaan 3 also, but we have not ventured much in manned mission. But you can still say that we are on the verge of sending a manned mission, so we are planning a Gaganyaan mission. You can mention that also, and in conclusion you can mention about, let us say, what is India's plan with respect to this type of mission. So this is the overall structure of your answer, that you have to have an intro, then a basic understanding of the manned mission, and then you have to write benefits in more in a multi-dimensional format, and then in very short manner or in a very crisp manner you have to mention the challenges, and then you have to write a conclusion. So this is the basic approach of your question. Good evening, Saurav. Good evening. So what we are doing, we are basically trying to understand that in science and technology what type of questions they can ask, and then we are trying to develop a overall structure of the answer. Okay, so in this question, the question is, what do you understand by manned mission, what are the benefits of the manned mission, analyze. So what can be an introduction to this question? Yes, would anybody like to try that? What do you understand by manned mission? What can you write as an introduction here? Or if you have to write, let us say, definition type of introduction, what can you write in a manned mission? Are you all aware about the Gaganyaan mission? So this is an answer writing session. We are assuming that you are aware about the Gaganyaan mission, you are aware about the Artemis mission, and after that you are approaching this. Are you all aware about the Gaganyaan mission? If you are not aware, then I can give a brief description of the Gaganyaan mission and the Artemis mission, and what do you understand, or what is this manned mission. Do you want me to explain what is a manned mission? Yes. Okay, can anybody give introduction then? I'm waiting for some response. Okay, just give a simple introduction, or if you think that I should explain manned mission, I can do that also. But do let me know that should I explain you the manned missions? What do you understand by manned mission? Okay, so see, manned mission. What do you understand by manned mission? So, missions are said to be the most complex type of missions. See, in space science and technology, you would keep hearing that NASA is sending some mission, or ESA, that is European Space Agency, is sending some mission, or ISRO is sending some mission. So, what are these missions? These missions are basically satellites that are sent to space. So they are a kind of satellite only, but they have what some instruments installed in them to carry out observations and studies. So they go with a purpose, with an objective to understand the space. So when you hear about, let us say, Parker mission, so Parker mission is a mission to sun. So its objective is to study sun, the outer layer of sun. So in these missions we are sending objects, or basically satellites, which are carrying out studies. So in manned mission, out of all the missions that we design, manned mission is considered to be the most difficult type of mission. So the other simple type of missions are the, let us say, the flyby mission. The flyby missions are supposed to be the simplest type of mission, in which we send us a satellite into space, and that records the, let us say, it takes photographs of the surface or of the atmosphere. So that would be called as a flyby mission. The next type of difficult mission is the orbiter type of mission. So here the satellite or the mission will not only just take photographs by flying past it, but it will enter in its orbit, in the orbit of that celestial body. So it will start circling around it. So that type of mission is referred as an orbiter type of mission, because it orbits the celestial body. Another mission which is more complex than the orbiter type of mission is the lander type of mission. So India's, let us say, Chandrayaan 2 or Chandrayaan 3 is what type of mission? It is a lander type of mission. So it will enter into the orbit. From the orbit they will send some probe down onto the surface of moon also. So that type of mission is called as a lander type of mission. And then you have the manned mission. Manned missions are the most complex type of missions, because we are not sending just instruments or machines or robots in space, but we are sending humans. In other types of missions, like missions that we are sending to, let us say, Jupiter, Saturn, or to your inner planets like Mercury, Venus, we do not want that the satellite should come back to Earth. Once we send a mission, we do not want it to come back to Earth. But if we are sending humans to space, if we are sending humans to space, if we are sending them to moon, then we want them to come back to Earth safely. So that makes the manned mission quite a challenge. First of all, to send manned mission is a very big challenge, because in space is a hostile environment for humans. It might not be a hostile environment for machines, but for humans it is a hostile environment. We will not get oxygen there, we will not get the ambient pressure and temperature there, we will not get food there. The sun rays that are coming, they are having high radiation levels, so we need a protection gear there. So this makes it very problematic. Also, when we are moving in rockets they move at very high speed, at speeds greater than what we call as escape velocity. So at such accelerating pace, we experience so much forces that our body, it can just thrash out. So it is very difficult when we are sending astronauts to space. And think of, like, when we have to land on moon. So landing on moon will become another big challenge. So reaching onto the surface of another planet, so you do not want that the mission should crash land. You would have remembered that in Chandrayaan 2 mission, the lander had crash landed. Imagine that humans were there, or Indian astronauts were there. So landing becomes a challenge, and after landing you stay there for some time, and then you again launch back and you connect with the orbiter, and then you come back to Earth. When you are entering Earth, So then also you would have heard this incident of Kalpana Chawla. So her rocket burned. Okay, why it burned? Because there was some defect in the insulation. So the manned missions become the most challenging type of missions. So India has not sent till now any successful manned mission. So we are trying for sending manned mission. So in the definition what you can write, in the definition you can write a simple definition of manned mission, that a manned mission is a very complex type of missions in which humans are sent to space and then they are brought back safely. So what you can define as a manned mission, it is one of the most complex type of missions in which humans are sent into space and then brought back to earth safely. Even that definition would be a simple but a good definition, and then you can add some past examples. So let us say manned mission where Yuri Gagarin was sent. So the first manned mission was your Yuri Gagarin. So Yuri Gagarin was sent to space by Russia in 1960. Or just check the dates. Either it is 1961 or 1962. So Yuri Gagarin was sent to space by Russia, and then he was brought back to Earth. So overnight he became a celebrity. So after this, USA started the Apollo program. So John F. Kennedy challenged NASA scientists to send not just humans to space but to even land on moon. So then your Apollo missions started. So Apollo missions were what? Apollo mission, it started in 1968, but the actual moon landing that you might be remembering was in 1969. So what you can do, you can define, and then in this part what you can do, you can mention about manned missions, that the first manned mission was that of Yuri Gagarin, and then USA started. So initially there was a space war between Russia and USA, and during that space war, Cold War. During this Cold War, there was a specific period called as the Space War. So during this period, Russia and USA, they were competing to send humans to space. So in 1961, Yuri Gagarin was sent to space. So John F. Kennedy challenged NASA scientists. So by in 1969, NASA sent Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to surface of moon. So after that, till 1972, the Apollo mission continued. And after that, what happened, that the manned missions stopped. So the manned missions in continued till 1972. So this was the era when manned missions were very very popular. But after that, there was a lull in manned mission. So what you can do, you can give a introduction, and then you can give a brief historical background, and then you can mention in short that what are the, let us say, some challenges also, if you want to mention here, or you can do it at the later part after mentioning the benefits. So this is the first part, introduction part, and then your post intro part. Let us say if you begin with a context type of introduction, you're not beginning with a definitional type of introduction, and let us say you're saying that because of the Gaganyaan mission of India and the Artemis mission of NASA, so the manned mission has again come into picture or again come into fore. So there is increased focus on manned mission globally by different space agencies. And then you can give what is a manned mission, that a manned mission is a mission in which humans are sent to space, and it could also involve landing, and then they again come back to earth safely. So that would be a simple definition, and then you can go for historical background for the manned mission. Are you able to understand the first part and the second part of the question? Are you able to understand the first part and the second part of the question? Okay, so either you can use definitional type of introduction, or let us say context type of introduction, and then mention something more about manned missions here. Now coming to this part, the benefits part. So in benefits, how we can break down the benefits. So what we can do is that we can say that there will be scientific benefits of manned mission, there will be social benefit or political benefit, and there could be economic benefit also of manned mission. Let us focus on the scientific benefits. What do you think will be the scientific benefits? What do you think will be the scientific benefits? Okay, so what we can also do, like begin with a simpler one, like how it can benefit economics, or economically how it is going to benefit our country or the space sector. Yes, would anybody like to try that? How a manned mission will help us scientifically, socially, politically, economically? Yes. How manned mission is going to help us economically. Let us say economically, if we talk about manned mission, so economically, if we are able to send manned mission, so India's market share in overall space economy, so India's market share is going to increase. So India's market share is going to increase in space economy. Okay, and also in launching, so India has become a hub for launching of small satellites. So again, if you are successful in manned mission, we'll further develop our launching capacity, so further we can attract over these launches, or we can become a hub of that. So we can attract what we can attract investments, we can attract investments, we can generate jobs. So it is said that in the generate jobs. Hi, hello, hello. Yes, what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve this question, that what do you understand by manned mission. Can you tell that what could be the economic benefits of sending a manned mission? Economic benefits of sending a manned mission. So it would first of all, we have said it will increase the market share of India in space economy, it will attract investment, it will generate jobs. So according to ISRO chief, he says that Gaganyaan mission alone will generate around more than 15,000 plus jobs. And then the ancillary industries, the industries related to space, so you have the ancillary industries, so the productivity of these ancillary industries is also going to increase, so that is also beneficial for the overall growth of the economy. And in economic benefit also, so when you are saying creating jobs, it will be creating high skilled jobs, so it will create high skilled jobs. So if a country has to move from developing to developed, so it needs to develop high skilled jobs, so that will be the benefit of this. So these are some of your economic benefits of the manned mission. Let us look at some of the scientific benefits of manned mission. What would be the scientific benefits of the manned mission? So we are planning for what? We are planning for space station. Have you heard about this? That India is planning to establish its own space station by 2030. So if we want to establish our own space station, we would be it would be imperative that we have already sent humans to space successfully. To have our own space station, we need to have successful manned missions also. So because if we have successful manned missions, we can aspire for our space station also by 2030. So that would be the biggest achievement for ISRO, or for even combining the activities of the private sector of India. So setting up of space stations would become easier if we are successful in the manned mission. Also, if we are successful in manned missions, we can further delve deeper into astronomy. Astronomy means understanding of the space. So we can study further space. Nowadays there is interest in astrobiology. Astrobiology, you would have heard that NASA is interested in studying about activities of the seeds in the International Space Station. So they want to see how biology or how life reacts or behaves in other environments or in space. So there is interest in astrochemistry, that is chemistry of the planets, of the stars, of the moons. So we want to understand those things. So that would also become possible, or will get more clarity if we are able to send what these manned missions. Other scientific benefit would be the launch vehicle capacity. So at present we are using GSLV, PSLV and GSLV. GSLV is the most powerful launch vehicle that we have. But to send humans to space, even in GSLV's power will have to be augmented. So we are saying that even the power of GSLV will have to be increased manifold to send humans into space. Why the power of your this GSLV will have to be increased? Because when we are sending something to space, and when we are sending humans, we need to set up, or along with the launch we have to send many other instruments, so as to provide humans a suitable environment, oxygen to be produced, pressure has to be maintained, temperature has to be maintained, and the waste that is produced, that should be removed. So all these would require machines, and that would increase the payload capacity. So you would need very powerful launch vehicles. Other scientific advantage, if we are able to successfully send manned mission, would be that we would need some other, or we would need global navigation system. So we need a good communication method through which we can track your launches. So we would be needing something like global navigation system, or we would need to collaborate. So this would benefit in that sense also. Now these are some of your scientific benefits. Let us look at the social and political benefits. So what could be the social and political benefit here? So the social benefit would be that it will inspire youth. It will inspire the youth to take science and technology, and it will not only inspire youth, but in particularly in youth, the women. So we are facing this issue that women, they are not inclined towards STEM field, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So if we are successful in sending such type of missions, it will inspire youth, and especially women, to enter the STEM field. So it will inspire youth, it will inspire young women to enter the STEM field, that is your science, technology, engineering and mathematics field. It will also increase also increase the skill level of the people. So in India we are seeing that the skill level of the people is not very high. So this will help in increasing the skill level of the people also. So that would benefit our society in the long run. Politically, what could be the benefit? That India's image in the global table would improve. So India's image would improve as a space power. India would emerge as a space power. So India has a lot of soft power, but India also wants to portray its hard power in some sense. So if we are capable in manned missions, so that would also reflect some dimension of our hard power also. So we would emerge as a space power. It would improve our image. So these are some of the benefits. What you can do, you need not mention all the points, but you can use the dimensions at least, and in all the dimensions write at least 2 to 3 points. So in that way you'll be able to write a lot of benefits. Okay, coming to the challenges part, what can you write challenges in manned mission? So this part UPSC has already asked that what are the technical and logistical obstacle with respect to manned mission. So what are the, see, this we have already discussed, that what are the technical and logistical obstacles with respect to manned mission. Okay, so we have seen that we have to create earth-like condition. Soft landing can become a very critical challenge, and then when we are trying to enter, the earth's atmosphere can burn out your these rockets, so that is a concern. So you can mention some of the challenges in brief here, and then you can go for conclusion. So what can you write in conclusion here? What can you write conclusion in such type of questions? See, in such type of question, if you haven't used the name Gaganyaan, then what you can do, that you can say in the conclusion that India also realizes the potential benefits. So India is working on sending a manned mission, that is the Gaganyaan mission. So for India is collaborating with France to send the Gaganyaan mission. So that can be one of your introduction. That can be one of your introduction. Now let us say if there is another question on similar lines, on a simpler line, like there could be something, a question like this, that India is planning to have its own space station. India is planning to have own space station by 2030. And let us say somebody's comment is there, like ISRO chief comment is there. So it could ask what are benefits, what are benefits of space station. What are the benefits of space station? And let us say it could be a 10 marker question. So the question is about what is India's plan to have its own space station. Yes, what can you write here? Let us first look at the structure, and then we'll look at what can be written. So this is, let us say, your question. Yes, what can be the intro here? What can be an intro here? Okay, so the basic again, so the introduction that can be given here is a simple definition also, that what do you understand by a space station. you can give a definition of space station, and along with that you can add some examples if you know. So you can mention the definition and then you can go for example. Then it is asking what are the benefits of space station, but it is also mentioning about what is India's plan to have its space station. So here you should also be elaborating a little bit on India's plan to have its own space station. So you can make this as your subheading and you can give some of the basic features of what is India's plan to have its own space station. So this could become your next part of the question, and then you can mention that what are the benefits of space station, and in brief you can mention that for a country like India, what are the challenges that we are going to face or we are facing with respect to sending these space stations, and then you can give a conclusion. So this is the basic approach. So what can be an introduction to this question? Yes, would anybody like to try? See, what can you write in introduction? So what do you understand by space station? So you know the examples of International Space Station or China's Tiangong. So at present there are two space stations. So what are space stations? So space stations are satellites only, but they are habitable satellites. Habitable satellite, it means that humans can go and stay there for prolonged period of time. So it is nothing but a satellite, but it is habitable in nature, that is humans essentially astronauts can go and stay there for a prolonged period of time. The advantage of space station or the benefits part is, let us see that part little later, that why India is eyeing or wanting to have its own space station. But what is India's plan to have its own space station? So India's plan is that by 2030 we should be having our own space station, but the idea here is that the space station compared to the International Space Station, it will be a much smaller module. So India's plan is that this module or our space station would be of 20 tons only, and it just like your International Space Station, it will be in the low Earth orbit, that is around 300 to 400 kilometers of altitude, and it will circle the Earth like in every 90 minutes it will circle the Earth. So this will be the speed, and we also know that the International Space Station or your space stations, they have a specific type of environment which is called as microgravity. So this microgravity is of area of interest, and this we are trying to understand, and in this environment only we are trying to carry out many studies. So in brief, mention about India's plan also, that India will be sending a smaller version of the International Space Station, and the objective is that it will be an extension of your Gaganyaan mission. It will be an extension of the Gaganyaan mission. It means that once we are successful with the manned mission, then we'll go for your space station. So you need to have a basic idea of the Gaganyaan mission also, and when we are successful in Gaganyaan mission, we will further eye to have our own space station. So in the second part, see in this type of questions, whether it is code type or whether it begins with the context, you should justify the first part also. So in this part you should justify justify in the sense that what do you understand by space station, and first, and then India is planning. So what is India's plan? So you should mention India's plan also, and you should give a small introduction also. So in this way you are addressing the first part of the question. Now let us look at what are the benefits of having a space station. So what are the benefits? So the first benefit, or some of the benefits that arise, is basically because due to the microgravity environment it has. So because of the microgravity environment, first of all, what do you understand by microgravity? What do you understand by the term microgravity? Okay, so microgravity, it means that the value of gravity is very less compared to that of Earth. So on Earth, let us say we feel the value, or the acceleration due to gravity that we know is 9.8 meters per second. That is, the Earth is pulling us towards the center of Earth at this particular acceleration. Microgravity in International Space Station, because it is circling the Earth at a very fast pace, so there the centrifugal force is more, and it counters the centripetal force, and that is why the value of gravity is less. Are you all aware about the centrifugal force and centripetal force? So just remember that in the International Space Station you would have seen that the astronauts, when they go there, it appears that they are flying inside, or they are floating inside. Even the water they pour, so water will float, and then they will suck the water. And so why this is happening? Because the gravity is less there. So when you say microgravity, it means that the gravity is much less than compared to that on Earth. So that is the idea of microgravity. So in such environment, what is the benefit, or what are the benefits of such environment? So in such environment we are trying to understand human health. So when you're talking about humans suffering from back pain, when humans are suffering from back pain, why? Because weight is what mass into gravity. Weight is nothing but mass into gravity. In microgravity, the gravity is less, so you are experiencing less weight. So we want to understand that in less weight, is there a problem of back pain or not? Are there problems of bone related diseases like your osteoporosis? What do you understand by osteoporosis? What do you understand by osteoporosis? So you want to understand that how bones will behave in space. Osteoporosis means that the bone density reduces with aging. Bone density reduces with aging, so it becomes brittle in nature, and it can fracture quite easily. So this is a problem with aging, but it is seen more in women than compared to men, because of the lack of estrogen, that is the hormone in women. So as they age, the estrogen level starts to decrease, and the bone density starts to decrease, and they are more prone to fractures. So we want to understand such type of bone related issues, that what is going to happen to situations like osteoporosis, something like as back pain. So we want to understand these things. In human health only, what you can understand. Hello Shivani. In human health only, we want to develop vaccines. So vaccines are preventive tools. This you would have known, or during COVID times you would have come to know about vaccines a little more than what you already knew about vaccines. So vaccines are very powerful preventive tool. So in our healthcare, if you want to reduce the cost of the healthcare, the most powerful tool is to develop vaccines for most of the diseases. So what we are trying to do is, in microgravity we are trying to develop vaccines, and we are seeing that the vaccines, the effectiveness of the vaccines is more, or we are able to create better vaccines in microgravity environment. So in microgravity environment we are able to create better vaccines also. And if you talk about protein synthesis, so are you all aware about protein synthesis? Our body has the capacity to make proteins. Proteins are chains of amino acids. So when the chains of amino acids are made by our cells, which part of our body is involved, or which part of the cell is involved in your protein synthesis? Just the basics. Yes, which part of our cells are involved in protein synthesis? So ribosomes. I hope you remember cells. So ribosomes are involved in your protein synthesis. So when we are trying to create these proteins in lab also, we see some defects are accumulated in the crystals of protein. But when we are growing these protein crystals in microgravity, that is in International Space Station, it grows very well, or it grows without defect. So that is the advantage, advantage of having this microgravity environment. So for these reasons we want to have our own space station. So it is not only about human health only, but as a satellite also. uh, just like the International Space Station circles the Earth very quickly, or 90 once in every 90 minutes, so our space station will also circle the Earth very rapidly. So it can observe large parts of Earth. So for Earth observations also, it will be used. So it will observe the Earth. So when it is observing the Earth, it can mention about let us say crop yield, crop loss. So it can also mention about where are the minerals, so it can find out minerals. So for mineral prospecting it can be used. It can observe climate change, so it can be used for that. It can be used for tracking disasters like your flood or forest fires. So these are the general benefits for any satellites. But when we have our space station, so at these will also be the benefits along with the specific benefits that you have seen. Okay, we would be better able to make maps, or we will be better able to look at the resources. When we say resources, both land based resources and water based resources, so it will benefit in that sense. We'll be able to gauge your some of the activities of the earth, so some of the tectonic activities. So during earthquakes also we can observe the activities. So it can be used for what, disaster management also quite effectively. Now coming to this part, challenges part. See, this part has not been explicitly asked, so some students tend to skip it. You can skip it, but if you mention this part in short also, so it adds a dimension to your answer. So yes, space station has benefits, but it will also come with its own challenges. So that part you should acknowledge, that yes, we should pursue it, we should have our own space station, but there are some challenges that we will face. What do you think are the challenges that we'll be facing for having our own space station? What do you think are the challenges that we'll be facing for having our own space station? Yes. Okay. Okay, I'll mention the challenges because nobody is taking the initiative. So yes, so to have your space station, space station is an extension of the manned mission only. So in order to set up space station, you will have to send machines, you will have to send equipments, but you will have to assemble them also. So who will do the assembling part? Humans will be involved in assembling the different parts of the space station. So it means if we want to have a space station, we the prerequisite for having a space station is that we are good at manned missions. But still now we haven't sent manned mission. We are planning for the Gaganyaan mission. So in Gaganyaan mission we'll be sending 3 flights. In those flights, in the third flight we'll be sending 3 astronauts. So still we haven't been able to achieve success in your, let us say, in sending the Gaganyaan mission. So it has been delayed because of the COVID, that is true, but this manned mission itself is a challenge. And in manned mission, or if you look at the Chandrayaan 2 mission also, so when we are landing machines also, or rovers, so on surface of moon we saw that it crash landed. Can we afford to crash land on any surface if it involves humans? So we cannot afford to crash land. So that soft landing is also challenge. Soft landing is also challenge. Soft landing is like landing on a surface, on landing on celestial surface without accidents, or it should be safe. So our Vikram lander, that is in Chandrayaan 2, our Vikram lander had crash landed. So soft landing is not an easy technique. Soft landing requires sophisticated technologies. So as of now on moon only 3 countries have been successful in doing soft landing. Even Israel had failed. So we have to address some of these challenges also for writing this part. Then what you can do in your conclusion, so in conclusion what can be done is that we can overturn the challenges that you are saying here with respect to the manned mission. See, in in a space station, in space, when we are trying to have a space station, it is essentially an extension of the manned missions only. So for sending manned mission also, we said that we would need very powerful launch vehicles. So this would be true for the space station also. Why? Because in a space station we'll keep on sending modules one after another, and they will need to be assembled in space, or for their repair and maintenance also. So for the starting also we need humans, for the repair and maintenance also we need humans. So until unless we have successful manned missions, so this is mission, or space station mission, will just be a dream. So we first need to have good successful manned missions. We need to be able to do soft landing quite properly. See, soft landing on celestial body is a very tough task. But if you look at International Space Station, so when we send astronauts to this International Space Station, so they are not landing there, they what is called as docking. Docking means that International Space Station is a very large satellite, and they have those docking units where the spacecraft from Earth is going there, and it will get attached there, and then the doors will depressurize and open. So we have to keep, because this space station is a habitable environment, it means that inside we have to keep a higher pressure than compared to the outside. So when we have to get inside the space station, we have to open a gate, or that opening of gate and then entering, that whole process involved is called as your docking. Docking means you are connecting the Earth space vehicle and the International Space Station, or your in case of India Space Station also. So that connection has to be made. So that also can become very challenging. So soft landing is challenging, docking is challenging, creating Earth like condition is challenge, then we have to bring them back also, that is also challenge. So these are, and obviously all those generic economic points, that India does not have a lot of funds for this, we do not have expertise in this, not many research universities are there, not many courses in colleges are there, so awareness among people is also less. So these challenges you can always write, these generic challenges. You can also write about funding or finance, that in India the percentage expenditure on GDP on your science and technology is less, so we need to increase that. So that thing also you can mention here. And what you can do, conclusion, what can you write in conclusion? So in conclusion, what you can do, you can overturn some of the challenges, so that could become your conclusion. So if we overturn the challenges, that would become your conclusion. Okay, do you know about this Gaganyaan mission? Okay, let us take some question on let us say biotech. One question on biotech which had previously come. So we'll try to solve one of the PYQ also. So what do you understand by vaccines? What do you understand by vaccines? What is the principle of vaccine, and what is principle of vaccine or vaccination? Vaccines. Elaborate the types. Elaborate different types of vaccines. And let us say this was of 15 marker. Yes, what we can write as an introduction. So in this, what can be written in introductions? So introduction can be context based introduction, or introduction could involve a definition also. So we can go for context. So context is always there with respect to vaccines, and we can go for definition also. So we can go for either context, or either we can go for definition. And then it is asking the principle of vaccination. So here we'll next subheading that we'll make is principle of vaccination, or principle of the vaccines, and then we'll mention the different types. So it has asked the different types of vaccines, then you can mention the issues or the challenges in brief with respect to vaccination in India, and then we can write a conclusion. Then we can write a conclusion. So what do you understand by vaccines? How can you define vaccine, or what can you give as a context here? Yes, let us say this is your question. What do you understand by vaccines? What is the principle of vaccines? Elaborate the different types of vaccines. Yes. How can you define vaccines? What can you write as a definition of vaccines? Okay, so what are vaccines? So vaccines are materials, they mimic the antigen. So what do we say about vaccines? Vaccines mimic the antigen, and they train our immune system. They mimic antigen and they train our immune system, but without actually causing the disease, so that is basically vaccine. The term vaccine comes from what? The term vaccine comes from vaccinia, that is the cowpox. So Edward Jenner was studying the cow maids in an area where the smallpox was quite prevalent. So what he saw, that the cow maids, those who had got earlier cowpox, they were immune to smallpox. So he decided, or he realized, that these women, they because they were exposed to cowpox is a mild viral disease compared to a smallpox. So he realized that those who have got infection of cowpox, they have protection against smallpox also, because the body makes antibodies for the cowpox, and that is effective even for the smallpox. So what is vaccine basically doing? It is mimicking the antigen, and it is training the immune system to act against any pathogen in the future. So that is the basic idea of the vaccine. And you can mention about Dr. Edward Edward Jenner. So he was the one who developed this concept of vaccine. So Edward Jenner, then he started doing what? He started using the cowpox, that is the cowpox virus, and give it deliberately to people, so that the people were protected with smallpox. So for many years this was the practice, and it worked effectively. But now we have many alternative ways of creating vaccines, not necessarily using the pathogen itself. Okay, so what is the principle of vaccination? So the principle of vaccination, so this comes from our understanding of what our immune system. So our immune system, or vaccines, are based on the idea of immunological memory. So the principle is basically involving or revolving around this idea of immunological memory. What do you mean by immunological memory? It means that once the immune system has encountered a particular pathogen, so it will always remember that particular pathogen, and the next time when the pathogen enters the body, so our immune system will make a very very quick response. So that is the basic difference when we give vaccine to people and if they are not vaccinated, is that when they are vaccinated, so their immune system can make a quick response. It is not that the disease will not enter that person, disease might enter that person, but the body will make a very very quick response against that disease. So that is the advantage of vaccines. So principle is basically your immunological memory. So in just to elaborate the immunological memory, so we have what are called as B cells, B memory cells, B memory cells. So they remember that what type of antibodies they asked to make. Then you have the T cells. So some of the T cells, they differentiate, and they become what? Memory T cells. So these cells, these memory ones, they will remember the pathogen, they will remember the specific pathogen, and the next time when the pathogen enters, they will make a quick response to this. Now coming to your types. So what are the different types of vaccines? So there are many types of vaccines, but the most important one you should be writing. The most important ones you should be writing. So the first type of vaccine is your live attenuated type of vaccine, live and weakened. Live and weakened type of vaccine. Do give some examples here. And then we have inactivated. So in inactivated, what are the ones? Give some example. If you remember for COVID, give some example. Then we have the toxide type of vaccine. Give some example of toxide type of vaccine. Then you have this subunit subunit type of vaccine, give some example. And then you have vector vaccine, so give some example. And mRNA, there is also something called as DNA vaccine, mRNA vaccine, so give some example. Your let us say DNA based, and give some example. So these are your different types of vaccines. uh, do you want that we should discuss these vaccines quickly? Do you want that we should discuss these vaccines quickly? Okay, so see, what are live? So just as you saw this case of Dr. Edward Jenner, that he was using the chicken pox to train people's immune system against smallpox. So here, when you say live, so we are using the live pathogen in, but it is weakened. So we can weaken it in the labs using some chemical and biological processes. So we weaken it and then we introduce it in people. So the live type of vaccines that we generally use is like polio, measles, rubella. So polio, measles, rubella, these are your live type of vaccine. But the problem with live type of vaccines is that it often leads to what is known as vaccine derived disease. So through the oral fecal route, in case of polio, so the pathogen is passing out through the fecal route and then again regaining strength, and then again infecting the foods. So in that way they were infecting people also. So in that way we call it as vaccine derived disease. So live and weakened one has this particular problem, that it sees the issues of vaccine derived disease. But the advantage is that because we are using the live one, the immune response is very lasting. So that is good about it. Inactivated ones means the pathogens are in killed state. So why do we want to use it in killed state? Because we do not want any activity or any vaccine derived diseases also in inactivated. So your diseases like for rabies, for hepatitis A, hepatitis A, influenza A. So we are using these type of inactivated type of vaccine. Do you remember any COVID vaccine which is inactivated? Any COVID vaccine which is inactivated? So the COVID vaccine which is inactivated is your Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. So it is an inactivated vaccine. So there is the Sinopharm of China that also is inactivated. Now what is this toxoid type? Type. So the pathogen themselves do not are not harmful, but they do produce some toxins which are harmful. So we target the toxins in this case. So the example of toxoid type is tetanus and diphtheria. Tetanus and diphtheria. So in toxoid type we are targeting the toxins that they are producing. And what is this subunit type? Unit means a part of the pathogen is used. So let us say you have this COVID. So the COVID virus has these spike proteins. So COVID virus has the spike proteins. So Subunit means when we are using, let us say, part of the virus, so this would become as your subunit, and we are using this to train the immune system. So when this is inserted in the body, body produces antibodies, and once it has made antibodies, so it always remembers. So subunit is when we are using a part of the pathogen itself to train our immune system, that is called as subunit type. This is also effective because what would happen that the body would have developed antibodies. So your antibodies are generally Y in shape, so next time when the virus actually enters, it will there will be a reaction of these antibodies and antigen, and the antibodies will neutralize the spike proteins. Now if the spike protein is lost or destroyed, then it means that the virus in this case is not able to enter our body, because only through the these proteins, spike proteins, were they able to enter our body. But since now we will have these antibodies, so these antibodies will destroy this antigen. So that is the idea of your subunit type. So we are using the part of the pathogen to train the immune system. In vector vaccine, what do you understand by vector vaccine? Vector vaccine. So vector vaccine, if you would have remembered that the best example of your vector vaccine. Okay, before coming to vector, there is one variety of the subunit type also. So there is one variety of the sub unit which is called as subunit conjugate vaccine. Subunit conjugate vaccine. Conjugate means what? What do you mean by conjugation? Conjugation means combining. So often we use a part of the pathogen to train the immune system, but in some bacteria you would see that the outer layer of the bacteria is made up of very complex sugars, polysaccharides. So in order to break into that, the vaccines has biological information for your sugar also, and also for the protein also. When you're talking spike protein, that is also what a part of the cell. So subunit conjugate sugar, so it will target the sugar. In some bacteria, that is they have a outer covering of these polysaccharides, which provide them an advantage that they can survive in very very harsh environments. So we have to target the outer cell capsule, and then we also have to target the part of the bacteria which is causing the damage. So we use these subunit conjugate vaccines also. So the example of subunit conjugate vaccine is the PCV vaccine. PCV is pneumococcal. It is pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, and you must remember that pneumococcal is a very dangerous type of bacteria, circular type of bacteria. It causes pneumonia, it causes sepsis, it causes meningitis. So pneumococcal causes what? I'll just write below. So this type of vaccine, so this is important because even in our universal immunization program this has been added, and this is the 12th vaccine that has been added. So pneumococcal is a very deadly type of disease, so it leads to sepsis. It can also lead to obviously pneumonia, but also lead to meningitis. Meningitis, what do you mean by sepsis? Sepsis is severe infection of the bloodstream, and meningitis is the inflammation of the covering around the brain and the spinal cord. So meningitis is providing a protective cover to our brain and spinal cord, but if there is some infection, then it could lead to inflammation. That state is called as meningitis. So in this case, it could be caused by a bacteria, it could be caused by some other pathogens also. So that is the basic idea and the objective for your PCV. Another type of vaccine is your vector vaccine. So when you're talking about vector vaccine, so if you would have remembered the example of your cowpox and smallpox. So people were given cowpox and they developed immunity against the smallpox also. So it means that the cowpox virus has a lot of resemblance with the smallpox virus. So if we develop a training for the immune system for cowpox, it is getting trained also for smallpox. So in case of vector vaccine, this is the principle that we use. Example is your Covishield. We all or most of us have taken Covishield only. So in Covishield, what type of vaccine it is? Covishield is a vector vaccine. Vector vaccines, it means we have used what? Adenovirus from chimpanzees. Adenovirus from chimpanzees. So this virus, even if it mutates or changes, then also it will not affect humans. But what we are saying, that because of introduction of this adenovirus into humans, so we are developing antibodies, and those antibodies are helping to fight even your, that is when helping to fight your corona or the COVID. So the adenovirus from chimpanzees is a vector here, and you must take a note that vector here was virus, but it could be possible that the vector could be bacteria, it could be fungi, it could be bacteriophage, it could be part of the bacteria itself, that is the plasmid. So vectors can be most of the organisms. That is the idea. Now mRNA based. What is this mRNA based? I'll just quickly tell. mRNA is messenger RNA. It is not modified RNA, it is messenger RNA. The role of mRNA is to instruct the ribosomes to make proteins. So in this type of vaccines, what they are doing, we are not cutting out any part or sub part, but we are creating an mRNA which, if it enters the cell, it starts producing proteins which is exactly same of that of the okay, it is so in exactly same as that. Let us say in this case we are taking the case of spike protein, so it will be resembling the spike protein. So that is the idea here. But what happens, that once the cell starts to make that viral protein or spike protein, the cell realizes that the protein synthesis was not ordered by the cell. So the cell starts to give instruction to the immune system to destroy these spike proteins, and the immune systems, they come and they develop antibodies and they destroy the spike protein. So mRNA based vaccines are very powerful type of vaccines. They are recent developments. So Moderna and Pfizer were examples of this. Moderna and Pfizer, and they have developed mRNA. In fact, mRNA is a very powerful tool that we are using in vaccine making. We are also trying to develop some anti-cancer therapy, sorry, not therapy, but anti-cancer vaccine for anti-cancer vaccines also. And you can mention also about the DNA based type of vaccine. So what are the challenges for vaccines in India? The challenges, what you can mention here, is that we are in India still seeing cases or issues of vaccine hesitancy. Vaccine hesitancy means people are not ready to take vaccines. So that is a concern. So to fight out the pandemic, we need a lot of people. In fact, every Indian should get a vaccine to avoid or to break the chain of transmission. You can mention other challenges with respect to vaccines, that are cooling networks is not very strong. So research and development is not very strong, or government investment in R&D is less, private sector investment in R&D is less. So you can mention those points, and then all of these points can be overturned in your conclusions. So overturn these points in your conclusion, and you will get a conclusion. Okay, so this is all for today. Gaganyaan mission, you should read about the Gaganyaan mission also. So what is the basic feature of Gaganyaan mission, you should know. Why? Because sometimes they could ask, what do you know about Gaganyaan mission, or India is planning to send Gaganyaan mission, what are the challenges to sending Gaganyaan mission? So the question is very simple. It is about challenges of the manned mission that we have already seen, and some basics of Gaganyaan mission. Like in Gaganyaan mission, we'll be sending 3 flights. So first flight will be a trial flight. Second flight we'll be sending a robot Vyomatra. Third flight we'll be actually sending a robot we'll be actually sending humans, and we are trying to send it where? We'll be trying to send it to low Earth orbit only, and Indian astronauts will go there and come back. And out of the 3 astronauts that India will select, one will be a woman. So the approximate cost is or mentioned is around 10,000 crores of rupees. So yes, it will be a costly affair. So that you should take a note, and we'll be using your GSLV. So take a note of these factual things that you can use in your answers. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask, or we'll close the session. If you have any doubt, you can ask, or we'll close the session. Yes, no doubts. Okay, so